Maria Butina may be deported to Russia as early as next month, according to her lawyer. She was detained and accused of being a Russian agent by the US Department of Justice in July. Robert Driscoll says he's hopeful that she will be released in 2 to 6 weeks, and he joins me on the line now to discuss this in more detail. Pleasure to have you on, Robert. First of all, just how confident are you that your client will be deported, and what potential stumbling blocks do you foresee?
Well, the sentence is ultimately up to the judge, and so as a matter of law, she faces up to the maximum sentence. We're asking for a sentence in the 0 to 6 month range, and she's already served 7 months. So if the judge went with our recommendation, it would be a time-served sentence. And so far, the government hasn't taken a position that's different than that. So we're hopeful, but again, not to raise expectations too much, it's going to be up to the judge at the end of the day, but we're hopeful we have a strong case to make. The hang-up is really going to be the timing of the sentencing hearing. We have a status conference for the judge on Tuesday, and we'll inform the judge kind of where we're at in terms of cooperation. I will make presentation, as will the government prosecutors, and hopefully at that point we'll set a date, maybe in a few weeks or a month, to hopefully have a sentencing, fairly soon, in a matter of weeks. And then at that sentencing, if it's a time-served sentence, she would be deported fairly soon thereafter. So, I mean, pretty much, regardless of what the sentence is, when the sentence is over, deportation should happen, fairly shortly thereafter, within a matter of days or maybe weeks, but I think days.
Is the deportation something automatic? It's something you've had to sort of work hard towards? Why would the judge let her go?
Oh, the deportation is, there are certain crimes that are mandatory deportation crimes in the U.S., and most felonies, and she's pleading guilty to 1 count of a felony, and so that is a deportation offense. And so I've been working with Immigration and Customs so that we could expedite that process, so she won't have to go through a separate deportation process or a lengthy deportation process after the sentence is done. So it's not a problem for us. I mean, she's always wanted to return to Russia. That's been her goal from the beginning. And so given that that's her position, I'm working with the government officials to make that happen as quickly as possible as soon as the sentence is done.
Do you feel as though you're fully informed on exactly what's going on? You have a pretty good idea of where this is heading, or could there be surprises? Are there any other cases that US authorities might hold over her, for example?
Well, yeah, there's always risk. I mean, obviously under cooperation agreement, she has to agree to, she's agreed to cooperate with the government, and if the government has more things for her to cooperate with or more questions they have, they could conceivably keep her a bit longer. Also, you just never know when you go to court. I mean, things are up to the judge, and even if you think you have a good argument and you think you're on solid ground, I look back to General Flynn about a month ago, had a situation where the government and his defense lawyers agreed on a sentence, and they went to sentencing, and the judge disagreed, and the sentencing got put off by a couple of months. So, I mean, those kind of things can happen, but I feel confident we have a good, solid basis for what we're requesting. I don't think the government has a strong view in opposition to it. I don't think they're looking to keep her any longer than they need to. And so I think it's a matter of essentially working cooperatively at this point with the court to get her back to Russia as soon as we can.
Have there been precedents for a similar situation and registered foreign agents being deported?
Well, this is kind of a unique case in that where she is a Russian national who has no, I mean, typically when the statute has been invoked, it's been with people who have actual relationships with intelligence services, and there ends up being, I mean, Anna Chapman, I think, was deported within days of her arrest, within a week or two. Usually, when in espionage type cases, there's an exchange or there's just immediate deportation where someone is sent out. This is a strange case in that there isn't a any kind of intelligence connection. She's simply a Russian national who was accused of acting as an agent in a particular instance. So it's kind of a unique case. But we are looking to, again, the goal early on, I mean, we asked her what her goal was, or I asked her, representing her, and her goal was to get back home to her family. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish as quickly as possible. And
I don't know when the last time, Robert, you actually had a chance to meet with your client, but how would you describe the conditions she's being kept in, and also her physical and mental well-being?
All right. I see her a couple of times a week. I saw her Wednesday night. I think it was the last time I've seen her, and I'll see her tonight. She's doing well. She's out of solitary confinement and has been for a number of weeks, which has her a bit more freedom within the facility. I mean, I think it's still fairly rugged conditions. Most people would consider them, if you saw them yourself. But I think she's doing well. She takes a very spiritual view of life and is, I think, got an optimistic view. She's doing well physically, and mentally, I think it's always hard. Incarceration is hard. I think it's a lack of control that I think most citizens aren't used to, where you're incarcerated and really don't have any freedom as to when you do things and when you're out of your cell. But we visit her almost every day, myself or the other lawyer, Alfred Carey. So she's doing, I think, pretty well, and she's looking forward to resolving this and getting home as soon as she can.
And just finally, Robert, I just want to, for people who maybe aren't too familiar with this case, they might flick on their news and they hear this story, Maria Butina, something about charges failing to register as a foreign agent in another country. They hear mention of Anna Chapman. People will they'll start thinking, so is she a spy? How do you explain the difference between Maria's case and other cases such as Chapman?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very important, is that the government is not even alleging she's a spy. The government did not charge her with espionage. The government didn't charge her with having classified information. What this case is about, what the government charged her with, was acting as an agent of a foreign official, in particular Alexander Torshin, who she had known through the gun rights movement, was a mentor to her. Basically, the government takes the position that if she did anything at his direction while she was in the United States without registering with the Attorney General, that violates U.S. law. Now, what she did wasn't illegal in and of itself. She didn't do anything unlawful. She didn't do anything to undermine the U.S. She wasn't working to obtain classified information. She was simply doing peace-building activities and other kind of political activities when she was here. So it's very different than a typical case. Has no similarities with Anna Chapman, who at least was alleged to have been involved in passing of cash and dead drops and had secret communication devices and things like that. She literally was a student at American University, but some of these communications she had with the home country, the government views as would have required registration. But if she had registered, everything she did would have been legal. So it's really in some ways, it's a registration offense, which doesn't mean it's not an offense under U.S. law. I think, obviously when this is done, there should be a broader discussion between both countries about whether these foreign agent type of laws make sense, because there's really a risk, I think, in both countries that they can be overused. I think that a lot of people think that may have been an overreaction in this case, but that's what the law is now. We can hopefully work on getting her a relatively short sentence and getting her home as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that was a really important clarification, and I'm very glad that we could get you on to just clarify it for us. Appreciate you coming on, Robert. Robert Driscoll, my guest, lawyer to Maria Butina.